Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys checking today's video out and spending some time with me. And we're going to be talking about the best ways to catch good fish in the month of March. As far as catching quality bass over 4 pounds, I think, in my opinion, the month of March is the best month of the year to fish in terms of catching quality bass, because there's probably more female 4-pound bass and bigger up in water less than 10 foot deep in the month of March than any other time of year, and those fish are aggressive and they're biting. So we're going to get into that a little bit and talk about the number one technique. Also, guys, before we get started, a couple quick things. Just want to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. It's free and easy. We're really trying to work hard to get to 150,000 subscribers with your help. And also, guys, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blockett Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message for information there, so really appreciate it. Okay, in my opinion, from all of the years I've been fishing, the number of bass that I have caught over 7 pounds, I've probably caught more 7-pound class fish in the month of March than any other time of year. Probably, I'm going to say 75 or 80% of those big ones I've caught have been in March, because that's when the big ones are up shallow and biting. And you know, not only they're shallow and biting, but they're positioned in areas that are just really conducive to working. I mean, those fish are up, they're looking for crawdads, they're looking for gizzard shad, they're looking for threadfin shad. They've got to feed up on crawdads to build the protein up in their egg sacs and regulars for spawning. And it doesn't matter if they're a male or female bass, there's a lot of energy expelled during the spawn. So male and female bass both have got to be really feeding heavily, and they do that in the month of March when the water temperatures are in their 50s. Now, there's a couple different things here you have to consider. First of all, it is all about the water temperatures being in the 50s. Water temperatures in the 50s are the best temperatures to catch bass in. It doesn't matter if it's in the pre-spawn or if it's in the fall time of the year. That's when those big fish are most aggressive, especially for their larger lures. So I want to talk a little bit about my favorite ways to catch these quality fish in the month of March, because it's pretty easy to do. I mean, for me, the whole thing about it, it's all about rock. Unless you're fishing a grass lake. If you guys are fishing like a natural body of water, or maybe some southern lakes that have hydrilla and milfoil, that's a different option there. But for the most man-made impoundments, the month of March is all about rock. I usually don't start fishing wood heavily until like May, but rock is the key structure, and there's a couple different things that are really going to help you with this. First of all, the type of rock is going to be important. You want to be in staging areas in the month of March for those fish getting ready to spawn, with the exception of some riprap banks. Now, riprap can be really, really good in the month of March, but my preference is some type of steeper channel bank. Channel banks that drop off, fairly quick into 10 to 20 foot of water. Somewhere they can be, close proximity to the old river channel or the old creek channel. They don't have to be. But relatively, you just need to have, say if your boat is 20 foot off the bank on a steep bank, your boat needs to be in at least 10 foot of water for these type of areas to be good. And the type of rock on it, they're going to use, if there's a channel close by, they're going to use a lot of different diversity and types of rock. But my preference is something like baseball to basketball size rock. Those are the prime type of rocks where you have crawdads hiding in. Just provides a lot of cover for the fish. Those gizzard shad and threadfin shad are up there feeding on plankton and algae, and that's why those big fish are up there. I mean, they're getting ready to move up into those flatter areas to spawn, and they usually stage on these steeper channel banks, probably 2 to 3 weeks prior to moving up. Now, the magic water temperature for this, I'm going to put it in 50 to 57 degrees. And it can be a diversity of different water clarities. You guys hear us talking about water clarity and water temperature a lot, but in the pre-spawn, it doesn't really matter. You can catch them in clear water or stained water as long as that water temperature is above 50 degrees and below 60 degrees. That's the main thing with it. Okay, the best way to catch them, this is what we're talking about. The number one way to catch these fish as far as overall numbers and overall quality is a crankbait. Now, there are other lures that will catch bigger ones. If you throw like a glide bait, a swim bait, chatterbait, or spinnerbait or jig, those will produce larger fish, but you're not going to catch quite as many. The crankbait is going to be your best odds of catching lots of quality fish with it. And there's a lot of different crankbaits that are good for this based upon the water visibility. I use the water visibility as sort of a gauge to pick my crankbait. If the water visibility is less than 2 foot, I'm usually going with a square bill crankbait. You know, something like that Megabass 1.2 S crank, you know, just any type of square bill that'll hit that 3 to 4 foot water zone. And colors, it can be a lot of different stuff. I use every color of the spectrum in the pre-spawn. A lot of people just use red and crawdads, but if you know, I use the blackback chartreuse, the shad patterns, and the crawdad patterns. Normally, if I've got low light conditions, you know, that blackback chartreuse is going to work really good. If I've got, you know, just, you know, fairly tough conditions where it's bright, a lot of light intensity on the day, a lot of light penetration, some type of a shad pattern. And one thing I found out about the pre-spawn, if you have a real windy day, that's when your crawdad patterns like your red and oranges work pretty good. But that's for over 2 foot or less than 2 foot of visibility. Now, if you have water visibility, say between 2 to 4 foot, that opens up some different options. And as your water gets cleaner, you're going to have more of a gravitation towards those crawdad patterns. So the water visibility of like 2 to 4 foot, this opens it up to a lot of different crawdad patterns and a lot of different depths. Megabass, you know, that Super Z2 is a real good one. Rock crawler, wigglewort can be really good. All those, any type of a bait that'll, you know, hit that 7 to 8 foot zone is going to be a key bait with that. And if you have water cleaner than 4 foot, those same type of lures are going to be good as well, except you need to go to more of a translucent finish on your lure color. So let's say, for example, if the water visibility is 3 feet and I was catching them on some type of a, like a, you know, like a matte finish, you know, crawdad pattern on a wigglewort, if that water visibility was over 4 foot, I'd have to go to like more of a translucent color, like a phantom green or a phantom brown. You're going to get a lot more bites in that translucent color and that little bit cleaner water. Another thing that's going to help you out with that is if you're fishing like that wigglewort or, you know, rock crawler in that clear water, throw it on a spinning rod because you'll be able to get a lot more depth on it. You can take a wigglewort or like a rock crawler 55 and you can put it on 6 to 8 pound test Seaguar Vizex line on a spinning rod, make a long cast parallel with those banks, and you can get that thing to hit 10 foot of water, even a wigglewort. A lot of people have never fished a wigglewort 10 foot deep, but you can do it on 6 to 8 pound test line. So if the water is over 4 foot of visibility, that's the zone I want to be in, sort of that 8 to 10 foot zone. Another thing about that is when you're fishing your crankbaits on these type of areas, you definitely want to parallel the banks all the time. I don't care if the water visibility is stained or in between or clear. Paralleling the rocky bank is going to get you a lot more bites, especially if that bank has got, you know, anything greater than a 45-degree angle. It's going to be really good with it. And just use some type of a medium stop and go retrieve. Also with that is you definitely want to weight your crankbaits where they don't float up. I usually put some type of a suspend strip on it to make them suspend a little bit. That way is when you do your stop and go retrieve, you can pause that crankbait without it floating up and losing your depth that you have off of it. So anyway, you can't go wrong with that. If you know, just to keep it simple, the best way to find them, go into a couple of your major creek arms, get about halfway back in those major creek arms, and just get on the steepest banks that you can find in those areas, parallel those areas, work them all the way 2/3 of the way back in there, and just duplicate it around to some different creeks. Really good way to catch some good ones. So see y'all next time.